Our soul is not present only in this life, but also lives in previous lives and in the future lives. When we are talking about the previous life memory, we are looking into our south node, because the south node represents the chain of past life experiences, and some of these past life experiences are the most important for us in this life. How do we know that? We check the ruler of the south node, and then we see how it works. We check where the south node itself is, and then we see how it directs us. What is our old karma? When we want to see our story from the future lives, our soul story from the future lives, like where do we go? What is happening there in the future? We look through the gate of the north node. So depending where the north node is, we see the gate from which we actually receive certain influences or information, or like this. If you want to see how clever these messages from the future lives are, or like how important they are, we just look the ruler of the north node, because the quality of the ruler of the north node will describe us. What do we receive? What kind of insights do we have? So it is all about that. When I say the quality of it, it means like everything, the aspects, the positioning houses in signs, the state with the dispositor, everything. Just like we want to go into it and understand that. If we want to get the first insights about our future life memories coming to us based on the north node position in different houses, we need to understand the uniqueness of a north node in first house, in the second house, any other houses. But this is just the first step. The second step of interpretation is always to know about the ruler. So basically with those two things, we get the whole story. Let's say we have a north node in the first house. These people are like open in this very incarnation to some of their future life memories. There is a way to actually find out which one of these future lives are included. There is a different techniques that we can get that. Very often they are like more distant future lives, and we need to see which one might be that one. But we are definitely a person of the future coming here. There might be a message, there might be a mission that person has with that, but that person is meant to bring something new. That person is like a soul from the future life. It's not only the soul from the future life, of course, because we always have a moon that represents our experiences nowadays that we have, but this part of the moon comes from the future, and this is the north node by itself. If we have a north node in the second house, we can see that we basically are connected to a more purposeful way of earning money, of connecting with the material world here. And it should be very easy. Easiness is the quality of it, because with the north node, which is very similar to Uranus, we should be liberated. We should feel liberation with that and easiness to it. So if we have a north node in the second house, we can easily get the money, but we are not attached to it. And this is a very important quality. So wherever you see the north node, you get that kind of lifting of something that gives you that sense of being free. That basically also tells about our future life, because the way how we connect with the second house in this life define where do we go in the next life. And the second house is our first house to read in order to understand our future incarnation. So this is usually a good sign for our direction, and typically North Node likes to be in the second house or in the sign of Taurus, because this is actually where we have easiness with the material world, where we get everything manifested in a nice way. If we have a North Node in the third house, we have ideas that are coming from the future. many things we can download easily. It is very similar to having Uranus in the third house. Like, yes, we are open to something new, and we can get these insights, then the knowledge coming from some other life. And our soul is dedicated to communicate with that part of us. If we have a North Node in the fourth house, it's a very interesting one because it actually tells us that there is a great need to find our own soul place. And when I say our own soul place, I mean the soul place from our future life. So we will go somewhere, to some other place, some other country in some cases, where we actually have a deeper connection from some future lives. Like, we know that place we go, but we know it from the future life memory. Certain future life, it doesn't have to be a next one, it can be in many more lives in the future that we know that place. But this is kind of a deeper meaning. There is a deeper purpose that we feel we need to do that. And it's something new and very liberating, like a new insight. This is the best case scenario we can get with a North Node in the fourth house. If you have a North Node in the fifth house, it's interesting thing related to our emotions that are very open to something new, to new experiences, to something very liberating in us, so we can have a contact with the person that we know from our future life. We will see someone, we will fall in love with someone that we are very connected in the future. Depending on the quality of North Node in the fifth house, we may conclude whether yes, we establish a relationship and we will continue in this life with this, or if it is not really in a great position, the North Node, we know that person from the future life, we will have some contact now, but it is not meant to be completed in this life. So this is something to be continued in one of the future lives. There is some kind of message coming from the future for us. And then if we have a North Node in the sixth house, that might be very interesting in different relations. For example, in some cases, North Node in the sixth house may indicate reconnection with the person that we knew from the previous life again. Because the sixth house represents the most important relationship we had in the previous life. And if we have a North Node here, now we are basically recreating the same relationship that we had, and we continue with that, and we will have that in the future. This is one thing. The other thing, how we can read that position, is that we do our job with a greater purpose. We have something that we start now and to be continued in the future. This is more like our calling, or something which is deeper than just a regular job. So we may experience something totally new starting here, but it inspires us deeply and we want to continue with that way. But this is the work in progress. So it's going to be continued in some future life, and we can also receive some insights related to the job that we do that is actually so new in this life that the true development will happen in the future. If you have a North Node in the seventh house, that means that at the same time we have a South Node in the first house. Well, this is again very interesting karmic connection and very important for our karmic relationships, because we are personally connected with some past life memories, but we also are connecting to someone from our future, and we need to integrate that. In some cases, it may emphasize the great difference between two people in a relationship, because one is coming from a past, the other is coming from the future, and this might be challenging for a person to integrate, to find that connection, especially because the North Node quality is more like Uranus. If we have that quality in the seventh house, we may feel like, this relationship is not like very stable, it's like totally new, and it opens us toward something totally unstable, a new reality, and all that. So we need to be really balanced with this one. We need to check, of course, the rulers, but this is a very significant life where we are on a crossroads and we need to integrate, even though there is a high probability that we are talking about the greater differences. However, if you have a really good relationship between the node rulers and especially good position of a north node ruler in a chart, we may conclude that in this life we will meet our twin flame, our person that we know from a future life. Our twin flame soul is a soul that is actually part of us coming from the future, and we are the same. We are one, but we are united in that future, and we may live that future now if we are mature enough as a soul. Anyway, this is a very significant life if it happens to be so. If you have a North Node in the 8th house, this is something very different, very challenging in some cases, because we are going into a very unknown territory and we want to research that. We are actually open to change the memory of the past, because through the 8th house we are usually receiving the messages of the river of our ancestry line, and all of our ancestors are going through that river, and 8th house knows to be very focused into one reality, one way where we go. But with the North Node there, we want to change the past. We want to change whatever was there in our DNA code. So it's very deep. We go deep, we research, and we transform. So those people who are with the North Node there, they're like divers. They go deep, they make their operation, and then they come out and they change. And this is the way how actually they transform karma. It can be very magical in a way. It's never ordinary one. It's very intensive, I would say. For the soul, we always need to understand that the regular moon is in fall in the 8th sign. So the 8th house would also be very challenging for our regular things. So there is nothing to be regular if we have something like a North Node in the 8th house, because the 8th house is not regular at all. It is very unique house. This house opens the vortex of realities. With the North Node there, we can really achieve the higher states of consciousness in the best case scenario. So this is the purpose, the greater transformation. If we have a North Node in the 9th house, general idea is that we open ourselves to the new visions, to the new purposes in this life. Something that we download from the future as a greater message, as a greater idea, greater direction to this life, and not only this life. This is like a new philosophy, some new kind of knowledge that we are getting here, and that knowledge is coming from the future. Since the 9th house is really very much open toward the future experiences, toward the future knowledge, with the North Node there, we can have a great sense of purpose, great direction to there. So it's like, yeah, we are really on a highway to get that. This is a very good sign for opening up toward the future. If you have a North Node in the 10th house, our profession is becoming our calling. This is the best case scenario. So this is what I want. It wants us to actually do something from the future and develop our own career, our own job, or whatever we want to do. So it's like we are downloading something into our regular life and we live that. So it's a connection, it's a blend between future and whatever is already established. So in time, we may create entirely new careers in our life, something that has never existed before, but we do make that. We are open to new things. If we have a North Node in the 11th house, it's again very similar in vibration, because the 11th house represents Uranian activity, something new, and the North Node is very open to that. A lot of ideas, many social activities, many happenings coming, because the 11th house is like a storm of ideas, and with the North Node, the storm is becoming even stronger. So we may get new chances in life here, and it is like more freedom in life than if it is not there. Like a freedom is highly emphasized new options, new possibilities. Like the field of all possibilities is open to us. And that field exists, but the gateway to that is through the 11th house and also North Node. And if you have a North Node in the 12th house, this is like inner awakening. We are going into the 12th house, which is a dreamy one, which sleeps, which is deep down, which is very silent. Then we get that North Node, the soul that goes there, that can witness some inner experiences. We can have a very spiritual awakening with that, and also activate the messages, like people who are working with angels, people who are open to the very special spiritual enlightenment. It is all connected with the 12th house and the North Node in the best case scenario. So this is how it goes. This is where it takes us. It is always very important that we understand the basic message from the nodes, especially the North Node in each house, and to see the ruler after it. There is a rule. Wherever the North Node is, the opposite place will find our South Node. So the South Node is something that brings the memory of the past. And that memory is like really important in terms of energy, in terms of feeling, in terms of emotions, in terms of ancestry stories that we have in us. So it directs us strongly. It's like an arrow that actually has its cause there in the timeline. It is the place of the cause, and then the effect we get through our moon, and even more consequences are coming through the North Node. If we understand that clearly, we'll see that first thing that happens to us is the South Node. South Node is very important, very like a karma. And the North Node is like a tip of the arrow that represents the Dharma. It represents the purpose where we go. But just to understand one thing, that needs to be awakened. Otherwise, whatever we call the North Node is going to be just the effect, the consequence of the South Node. South Node causes the things and the North Node is just following. And it might be easily sleeping part of a self, something that people basically don't do anything. It's just the flow, just as a river has its own flow, we flow and we follow that river. So this is sleeping, and we can just see the future easily, but not like the purposeful one. So in order for that to be a purposeful, we need to activate that. Just understand that the North Node represents the dragon's head, while the South Node is the dragon's tail. So tail represents the area of shadow and everything that makes us determined and fated into certain areas of life. But the head is the one that easily can create a new karma. So basically the new karma is very often created through the North Node position. In some cases, it is not a liberating one, but the one that actually gives a chance to a person to make a new karma and to continue with that. So that's why we need to see if the soul is mature enough to use the North Node as a gate of liberation, as a gate of a future that we introduce to our present and to even our past, in order to change our dragon, to awaken our greater energy that can be the source of our higher self. Also, North and the South Node are representing one being. It's a part of the same being. It's like a mind, North Node, and the body, South Node. So they always represent a unity. How to activate the North Node quality? How to activate our mind if you want? So always the answer is first go to your body. So the step one is accept your animal. Animal is coming from the South Node. Animal is that shadow. Animal is that inherited part of us. So we go into it. And the first step is we make a balance with the South Node. We accept all that energy. We learn how to be very close with our shadow guide, with our energy deep within ourselves. And then from that state, we act. We create a new action, but from the state of the easiness and the state of the being, the pure being connected with the south node, being with that animal, being with that energy, peace. And from that peace, we act, we do something, we actually just make a new direction. And this is how we activate the north node. Otherwise, north node is just a pure consequence of the south node, and nothing changes really. Just like in a regular human life, mind is just the consequence of the circumstances that are created by the DNA. DNA is physiology, the subtle level of physiology. So you have all the stories structured in your DNA, and DNA is basically ruling the world. So when I say DNA, I mean all of our planetary aspects that we have. So these are like nucleotides in our DNA code. So they are literally causing whatever we are going to think. It's not our thoughts. These are basically thoughts of our ancestors, of our animal, when we translate it. If we sleep, if we want to have our own things that is always greater than the past, the first step is to accept the past, not to confront it. No, just to totally accept that, to be at peace, to be at balance. And from that state of easiness, of that restful, awakened state in us, we are fully awake in ourselves, but still in total peace, we act. And then we activate the north node, we activate the messages coming from the future, and then our life is really downloading parts of our soul that are more enlightened, that are coming from the future, that are having greater vision, and our present life becomes the real one.